This is the KO Podcast, and I am your host, Tyler Russo. Now, this is a very monumental episode. This is the first ever episode of this podcast. I'm really excited to start bringing you guys more content. Hopefully, I can go to some live events. And, I just graduated from college, and I'm really excited on this new chapter in my life. And this is definitely going to be one of the things that I'm going to be doing a lot of. So stay tuned for a lot more content. On this episode, we're going to be looking at the UFC Vegas 55 card. We're also going to be talking about some other news. We're just going to kind of get right into it. We're going to go through every fight on that card. And let's go. Now, the first fight at women's strawweight, we had Ellis Reed taking on Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes got the TKO victory in the third round. Very impressive victory for Hughes. I believe I did pick Elisa Reed. So, Hughes came up big, and she even called out DC on the mic for calling her a quitter. So, yeah, that was pretty good to see DC's reaction on that. Then the next fight, we had a very impressive win by stoppage by Chase Hooper against Felipe Corres. Hooper came out with a different look in his eye, I noticed. I think he shifted from a boy to a man in this fight, and I think we all witnessed that. And, his hair looked a little less curly. Maybe it was because it was cut short, but he looked good. He looked aggressive, so... Is this Chase Hooper 2.0? Who knows? The next fight was Jonathan Martinez getting the victory over Vince Morales. I picked Morales in this fight, I believe. And, Martinez proved me wrong. He fought a really good fight. He busted up Morales' leg. Really gross. It bubbled up pretty quickly. That was just not a good look for the leg. I think I did retweet or like a picture of his leg. If you want to go follow me on Twitter, I'm very active on Twitter. It's the KO Podcast with Tyler Russo. Just type that in and you should find me. And now we're going to get into this lightweight bout. And it was Omar Morales and it was Oris Medic. And Medic got it done in pretty dominating fashion. He KO'd him pretty good. That was probably one of the better finishes of the night. That was a very, very impressive finish for him. And then we go on to the heavyweights. We got Jailton Almeida and we have Parker Porter. There was a lot of talk coming into this because Almeida is a light heavyweight fighter and he's a huge prospect in that weight class. But he has fought in heavyweight before, and he came up at heavyweight because his opponent fell out. And he fought a very tough Parker Porter. And Porter was on a 3-fight win streak before this. And he was looking pretty good. His cardio was always on point. But Almeida got it done pretty convincingly with a lot of ground strikes. Brought him down to the ground really quick and submitted him just like that. And now we move on to Joseph Ugly Man Holmes. I love that nickname. That is an amazing nickname. And he took on Ellen Amedovski. Amedovski did not fight, I think, since 2019, so he had a long layoff. And Joseph Holmes, he put him out with that knee. That knee was impressive. That was one of the highlights on this card. It was. I think this was a good welcoming for Joseph Holmes into the UFC. He had a rough debut, but he bounced back in a big way with this fight. Now we move on to the main card with the middleweights. We have Eric Anders taking on. He took on Park Jung Young, and Jung Young won this fight by split decision. It was a really close fight. I could definitely see that Young got the decision. I agree with that. Definitely agree with that decision. I thought that was a pretty good fight, pretty solid. The next one, we got the women's strawweights. We got Paulina Verena, and we have Tabitha Ritchie. Baby Shark, that's her nickname. And it fits her pretty well because she's like 5'1". She is so tiny. And she came out here and she got the dub by decision. She looked really good in that fight. Really impressive performance. She's definitely going to be moving up in the strawweight division and taking on tougher opponents. And the next one was a pretty impressive win for Chidi Bang Bang Nokwani. I hope I said that name correctly. Taking on Dusko to Drofik. Yeah, it was Chidi Nowani had he had very impressive performance. I think he got a bonus. Really deserved that. And he said after the fight that proves that his first fight wasn't a fluke, and he's right, he's correct. It definitely proves that he is a very consistent knockout artist, and that he's going to be moving up in the middleweight rankings very quickly if he keeps on putting on performances like that. And we go now to the co-main event on this card. We had Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Michel Pereira. I was personally really excited for this fight. This fight, I think had fight of the night all over it, and it got fight of the night, and it lived up to the expectation. It was a razor-thin, close fight. I don't know why one of the judges had a 30-27. That's ridiculous, but that's just one of the many things that these judges did, but we'll get to that in the main event. But yeah, I didn't really agree in the scorecards in that way, but I thought it could have went either way. I had Pereira winning, I think, on my pre-fight picks. So, I'm excited that Pereira's moving into the numbers now. I know he's not as crazy as he used to be, but he's a controlled crazy, and that's how he's winning fights, 11 of his losses, it's because he was flashy, and it's because he gassed out, and he went to a decision most of the time when in his losses, and it's just, you can't expect a guy to fight so crazy and win. There's risk and reward, and if Pereira goes out there every fight and just does spinning kicks and backflips and jumps off the cage, and he's going to get knocked out when he moves up, especially with Ponzinibbio. He can't do that, and he couldn't do that with the other opponents on this win streak because they're all tough guys, and it's really hard to be flashy and to get results as well. Usually flashiness comes with getting gassed out, getting knocked out, getting submitted on the ground sometimes. So, Pereira, that was a good performance. I think it proves that he definitely can be with some of these contenders now. I'm interested in what the next matchup will be. And here we go. Very controversial. The women's bantamweight division main event. Holly Holm taking on Cataline Vera. I picked Vera to win in my pre-fight picks, but I did not think she won this fight. I thought Holly Holm won this fight, just basically like everybody else. Holm, if you look at the stats, and I know the stats, I know that they don't see the stats, the judges, but I mean, you got to kind of see a difference with the eye test. I'm going to go right here I retweeted this on my Twitter page. This is the verdict, and the verdict, their scorecards, the final scorecards, they had Holm 48.57 against Ferreira 46.5. And Holm, that's ridiculous. Holm should have won this fight. I don't understand why she didn't, and I don't even know if this really should have even been a split decision in the first place. And I'm reading this right off of Verdict, right off of their Twitter page. This is one of the biggest final scorecards disparities in the history of Verdict, whereas the opposite fighter was awarded a decision. That's crazy. I'm going to repeat this again. Holm had 48.57. That was her final score. And the Verdict, their scorecard, and they had Vera at 46.5. That is a huge disparity. It's ridiculous. I don't know why Holm didn't win this fight. And I really don't understand. And you can't even wash the bad taste out of your mouth because unfortunately, there's no UFC event next week. So now I'm going to be staring at a blank television thinking about this decision and how bad it was. And I just don't understand that decision really. And I do quickly want to touch on the Eagle FC 47 event that went on Friday night. Both of the fights that I was excited for kind of fell through for me. The Thiago Silva and Hector Lombard fight was a no contest because of an illegal thrown knee. He was throwing something, but it looked like he was held back, but it didn't make contact. So that fight kind of got spoiled. Then the Junior Dos Santos fight, just throwing out his shoulder, throwing a punch at De Castro. it was really sad to see him in so much pain, and he's trying to pop it back in. And what the hell was up with the ref? He didn't stop the fight right away. You have a fighter that's injured, has a dislocated elbow, and you're not going to stop the fight right away. The ref's just staring at him. He's staring at the ref. De Castro's like, what the hell do you want me to do? I didn't understand that at all. And Chael Sonnen was losing his mind on the broadcast, and I would have too. Like, what is the ref doing? He's just standing there looking at him, screaming in pain. And then the doctors came in. It was a bad scene. I ended up feeling really sad after watching that main event. That it's just, stuff like that happens all the time in MMA, and I get that, but it's still so sad when you see such a veteran and such a legend like Dos Santos in so much pain. And it was a little weird because Castro started screaming, looked like he was celebrating, but then I guess he did apologize afterward. I didn't watch his apology, but he did apologize. It's in the moment. I saw some people saying, it was in the moment, let him live. And, I do agree with that. It's like, it's a lot of things that go into these camps, and they sacrifice a lot of things in life. They sacrifice family time and everything. So you can understand the emotions that go through both fighters, when they get their hand raised or they don't. So, I'm not a professional fighter, so I have no idea how that really feels. I've only seen it, and it looks horrible on the losing side every time. And you can always see the relief on the fighter's face when they get their hands raised, and I think that's just a testament to how hard that these athletes go, like how hard they train and what they put on hold. They put their whole lives on hold for these training camps a lot of the time, because if they don't put their lives on hold and they let personal things go through, a lot of the fighters, they will lose their fights, and it's crazy that you have to put your personal life on hold for like 4 weeks, or all of a sudden you're on vacation, you get a call, and all of a sudden you're fighting on 5 days notice. MMA is crazy, man. I think that's why I love it. In other news, I am trying to go to Bellator 282. It is close to me. I'm trying to see if I can get there and get pictures and possibly fighter interviews and meet some of the MMA press, because I am new to this, so I do want to make some connections, and I do want to make some friends I can collaborate with, because I get sick of hearing my voice all the time. So, it's always nice to have other people on. So, I am going to try to have more guests on. I do want to make the show bigger and better every single time. So, it's only going to get bigger and better from here, everybody. I am very excited to be bringing so much content to you guys. The most important thing I just want to say is everybody go follow my Twitter, because that is where everything, that's where everything is through. You can get to the website. You can get to the KO Podcast website. It is linked to that. So, on Twitter, all you got to do is you got to type in the KO Podcast with Tyler Russo, or at KO Pod with Ty. Again, that is KO Pod with Ty. That's the best way to keep up with the podcast and me. And that's going to wrap it up on this episode of the first ever KO Podcast. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And please, stay safe. I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.